I will never forget the metallic sound of my ship's hatch as it opened, echoing hollowly into the purple air of that unknown planet. I was still shaking from the forced crash. The sensors had died 30 seconds before impact. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know if I had survived by luck or by something far more unsettling. But what I do remember clearly is that the moment I set foot on the pearly ground, an immense shadow covered my entire body. I froze. In front of me stood two colossal figures, as tall as 4-story buildings. No, taller. Maybe 8 to 12 meters. My breath caught when I lifted my gaze. Two giant women, human in appearance, but with a beauty that looked sculpted by hands that did not belong to this universe. The wind moved their hair like rivers of deep color. One wore a dark blue fitted dress that shimmered like a crystal submerged in water. The other wore golden tones that reflected the orange sky. Their eyes, huge, expressive, deeply human, watched me with a mix of curiosity, tenderness, and something I couldn't identify at first. Not fear, not hostility, but a certain intensity that nearly made my knees give out. Before we begin, I ask that you subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and tell us where in the world you're listening from. This helps us bring you more stories like this. Let's go. The one in the golden dress tilted her head, and her shadow extended over me like a protective cloak. I heard her voice as if it echoed inside a cathedral made of air. "Welcome, traveler," she said softly. Then the one in blue stepped forward, and the ground vibrated beneath my boots. Her smile unfolded like a sunrise. "We are all yours," she declared, and although her tone carried no mockery, her words left me paralyzed. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know whether I should feel flattered, terrified, or confused. Everything in their posture felt ceremonial, as if they had been waiting for me long before I even existed. I pressed a hand to my chest, trying to steady my breath, trying to remember the official protocol for extraterrestrial contact. But there was no protocol for this. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice emerging weaker than I intended. The two women exchanged a subtle look, a silent message only they seemed to understand. The one in gold knelt before me, lowering her immense body until our faces were almost at the same height. Her closeness was overwhelming. Her skin held a warm glow, almost as if it captured the light around us and turned it into something alive. "We are the sisters of Varelia," she answered sweetly. "And you are the chosen one." A chill crawled up my spine. That couldn't be true. I was a reconnaissance pilot, not some hero from a galactic prophecy. I had barely survived the landing. "There must have been some mistake," murmured the blue sister, though she didn't sound worried, just surprised. "But the winds of destiny do not make mistakes." As they spoke, more massive silhouettes emerged from the crystalline dunes. 5, 7, 10, all women. All enormous, radiant, each distinct from the next, as if every one of them had stepped out of an ancient constellation book. Their eyes shone with a recognition that both unsettled and drew me in. The air vibrated with their presence. The wind lifted glowing sand into spirals, wrapping the scene in something unreal. My heart pounded against my ribs, as if it wanted to escape my body. "Why do you say that I'm yours?" I asked, trying to stay composed as the giant women formed a semicircle around me. The golden sister smiled with gentle warmth. "Because this planet responds to you," she said, extending a massive hand toward the horizon. "And we respond to the planet." The sand began to rise, drawing lines in the air. As if the world itself were breathing. As if, somehow, my arrival had awakened something deep, something ancient. I didn't want to be the chosen one. I just wanted to survive. But in that moment, surrounded by these colossal guardians of inhuman beauty, I understood that my fate had been ripped from my hands. The blue sister leaned close, her immense face calm and luminous. "Do not fear. All will be revealed in time. For now, you are safe with us." I didn't know whether to believe her. I didn't know whether to trust them. But I did know I had no other choice. And as my mind searched desperately for answers, a strange sensation grew inside me. Something on that planet was watching me. Something even greater than them. And I understood that my arrival had not been an accident. I never imagined I would walk beside beings so colossal, much less that they would escort me as if I were some kind of sacred figure. But there I was, moving across the pearly dunes while the giant sisters surrounded me in a protective semicircle. Every step they took made the ground tremble, like a heartbeat marking my path. In the distance, the rising dawn painted the hills in shades of violet and orange, as if the sky were made of layers of crystal and fire. Even so, my thoughts were a storm. The chosen one? I couldn't accept it. It didn't make sense. What was there in me that could justify such a title? The blue sister, who called herself Lorea, noticed my unease. Her voice came from above, soft as a warm breeze. "It is not a role you need to fear," she said. "The title was given to you before you were born." I stopped walking, forcing her to stop as well. Sand slid around her monumental ankles. I lifted my gaze, my throat tight. That's not possible, I replied. My birth has nothing to do with this place. I'm human. I come from a world you shouldn't even know exists. She tilted her face toward me. Her eyes looked like calm oceans. We know much more than you imagine. Beside her, the golden sister Thelia walked with serene grace. Her dress moved elegantly, and the gold shimmered as if made of tiny liquid suns. Athelia spoke without looking at me, as though reciting something she'd practiced for centuries. This planet, Varelia, chooses its guardians, and the guardians choose those they must guide. You don't understand yet, but the connection is there. We can feel it. I closed my eyes for a moment, searching for logic. I found none. The other sisters walked behind us, each one different, each one observing me with a mix of curiosity and gentleness that made me feel small but not insignificant. It was as if every gaze was trying to confirm that I truly existed. Suddenly, the landscape shifted. The dunes gave way to a plain where enormous crystalline structures rose like petrified trees. They glowed with iridescent colors. Lorea extended a hand, her gesture broad and graceful. This is the Valley of Resonances, she explained. Here you will hear the planet's truth. Here, I repeated, incredulous. Athelia smiled. Varelia speaks. Traveler. It always has. It only needs someone willing to listen. As we moved forward, a sound began to fill the air, a deep hum that couldn't have come from anything living. It was as if the ground itself vibrated with an incomprehensible language, pulses woven together like musical notes from an impossible choir. I clenched my fists. What is that? Lorea knelt to be closer to me. Her movements were so fluid, I almost forgot her colossal size. It is the echo of your arrival, she said. The planet recognizes your presence. It is trying to communicate with you. I stepped back. That makes no sense. I don't even know why I came here. My ship malfunctioned. It was an accident. Athelia shook her head gently. No star wine blows without purpose. No accident falls where it was not called. Her words sent a shiver through me. Then something unexpected happened. One of the crystalline structures released a brilliant flasha silent bolt of light. It passed through my body without burning, without pain. But I felt something inside me, like a forgotten memory, like a door slowly opening deep within my mind. I pressed my hands to my temples, dizzy. The giant sisters moved closer instinctively. Do you feel it? Lorea asked, her voice trembling with emotion. Yes, I gasped. But I don't know what it is. It's like someone knows me. The valley's hum grew stronger, wrapping us in a vibration that climbed through my arms, my chest, my throat. For a moment, I saw fleeting images, stars spinning in reverse, a map I didn't recognize, and colossal silhouettes resembling the sisters. But far more ancient. My knees buckled. Lorea extended her hand. Huge, warm, steady. Breathe, she said. You are awakening to your purpose. I looked up at her in fear. Purpose for what? Athelia exhaled with a sorrow that chilled me. To save us, her words hit harder than the light, harder than the hum, harder than the fragmented memories. Save you. From what? I asked, my voice trembling. All the giants fell silent. The wind stopped. The valley held its breath. Lorea leaned closer still, her massive face only meters from mine. Her eyes shimmered with a sincerity that froze my blood. From something coming here. Something that has been looking for you. A shiver tore down my spine. The planet had spoken, and it did not like what it said. The wind began to blow with a different intensity, as if the very air had heard Lorea's revelation and responded with unease. I remained on my knees, still dazed from the valley's luminous vibration, while the giant women surrounded me with attention they hadn't shown before. Athelia lifted her gaze toward the orange sky and murmured something in a language that sounded like a deep, melancholic chant. The other sisters repeated her words in a synchronized whisper that sent chills down my spine. I stood up as best I could. What's coming? I asked, feeling an inexplicable weight in my chest. The answer didn't come immediately. The giants exchanged somber looks, as if they feared naming the thing itself. Finally, Lorea spoke, her voice slow and filled with dread. We call it the Ancient Shadow. The name hit me like a stone dropped into water. What exactly is it? I pressed. A creature, a natural force. Athelia turned toward me with that serenity that seemed to belong to no mortal being. It is not a creature in the way you understand, nor is it a natural phenomenon. It is an echo of the past, a fragment of a power that existed before our cities, before our lineage. Even before this planet stabilized. A power that awakens every time a chosen one arrives, added another. Sister one with reddish hair who hadn't spoken until now. And the last time it surfaced, Varelia nearly collapsed. I fell silent. The pressure in the valley felt suffocating. Then why do you think I can stop something like that? Athelia took a step toward me, her golden eyes reflecting the valley's glow. We don't think we know. Varelia summoned your arrival, not by chance, but as a response. Lorella leans down, extending her open hand beside me. It was so large, I could have lain down in her palm. Let me show you something, she said. I hesitated for a moment, but finally touched her warm skin. As soon as I did, a surge of images shot through me like silent lightning. I saw a distant past, giants resembling the sisters but even more imposing, walking among colossal crystalline structures. I saw a sky slowly darkening as though an endless eclipse were falling over the planet. And I saw a nebulous figure and a regular shadow that moved like living smoke engulfing entire cities and turning light into nothingness. I jolted back, releasing Lorea's hand. That's what's coming here. Yes, she replied, her tone pained. The ancient shadow devours what it considers conscious energy. It does not destroy physically. It consumes life's essence, memory, spirit. If it reaches us, we will vanish without a trace. Breathing became difficult. My mind tried to assemble the pieces, but nothing fit. But I don't have any power. I'm human. I'm not like you. I'm not a guardian. Athelia knelt low enough for her enormous face to align with mine. Her expression held an almost maternal tenderness. You don't need to be like us. Your connection to the planet is not physical. It is something you carry within you, even if you don't understand it. The visions you saw, the valley's reaction, none of it would have happened if you didn't share a link with Varelia. I shook my head. That doesn't explain anything. I don't know how to do anything. You think I can? The sisters moved a little closer, not in a threatening way, but more as if they wanted to shield me from myself, from my fear. The red-haired sister spoke gently. The chosen one never knows. He always fears, he always doubts. But the planet does not make mistakes. Lorea placed her massive hand flat on the ground, inches from me. Come, you will ride with me. I must take you to the Dawn Hall, where you will understand your role. There, the planet's light will reveal what still sleeps within you. I hesitated. The idea of being so close to her, so close to a body large enough to crush me by accident, made me feel exposed. But there was a promise of protection in her gaze so profound that I had no choice but to trust. I stepped onto her open palm. Her skin was warm, soft, yet solid, like living stone. Hold on, she whispered, her voice rumbling through my chest. She rose with a graceful motion, lifting me many meters above the ground. From up there, the world looked different, vast, radiant, mysterious. The giants began to move, and from my elevated position, I saw, far in the distance, a thin dark line on the horizon. Almost invisible, like a thread of shadow that didn't belong to the landscape. It wasn't a cloud. It wasn't a weather pattern. It was something alive, moving slowly toward us. Lorea noticed where I was looking. Yes, she said in a grave tone. It has awakened. And it has already found you. A tremor shot through my entire body. The ancient shadow was coming for me. And no one seemed to have a plan, except trusting something even I didn't understand. The march toward the Dawn Hall was long, but from the height of Luria's arm, it felt even longer, as if the landscape unfolded in endless layers. The planet seemed to breathe beneath us. The pearly sand rippled like a solid ocean, and in the distance, the horizon was still marked by that dark thread. The one I now knew wasn't an ordinary shadow, but the ancient shadow advancing with a single purpose, to find me. No one spoke. Even the giant sisters, usually so steady and harmonious, kept silent. It wasn't fear I sensed in them, but something older, something solemn. The kind of quiet reverence that only appears when a long-awaited destiny is about to be fulfilled. I, on the other hand, couldn't control the storm in my chest. Every breath felt too fast, too shallow. Athelia walked to Lorea's right, her golden dress billowing with each step as if it were capturing the wind itself. She glanced at me from time to time, and in those glances was a calm I couldn't absorb. Breathe slowly, she told me once, her voice soft like dimmed light. The planet senses your unease, and it responds to you. How can a planet sense something like that? I asked, trying to control my trembling. Lorea answered as she continued forward with firm steps. Varelia is not an inert world. It is a living being. Its consciousness extends through every stone, every current of air, every crystalline structure. That is why it chose you, because something within you vibrated at its same frequency. I shook my head. That makes no sense. I don't have anything special. Athelia smiled. The extraordinary rarely recognizes itself. We continued through formations of crystal rising like broken pillars from a forgotten temple. The orange sky refracted through them, painting shifting streaks of color as we passed. It was beautiful, yet there was something ominous in such suspended beauty, as if the world were preparing itself for judgment. When we finally reached the Dawn Hall, I lost my breath. It was a massive circular structure formed by translucent crystal columns over 20 meters high. Each column pulsed with an inner glow, as if housing a luminous heart. As the giants approached, the pulses quickened, recognizing their presence. And mine, Lorea knelt gracefully to set me on a central platform made of bluish stone. The ground vibrated beneath my feet. It felt like standing on the chest of a colossal being. Places like this were built by our ancestresses, Athelia explained as the other giants positioned themselves around the circle. The Dawn Hall is a bridge between the planet's consciousness and those who listen to it. And what am I supposed to do here? I asked, my voice too small for such an immense place. Lorea settled in front of me, her enormous face filled with deep tenderness. Listen, that is the first part of awakening. Athelia raised her hands toward the sky. The other sisters followed. Then something began to vibrate in the air. A chant, not words, but an ancient sound, a murmur that traveled through the columns, seeped into the stone beneath my feet, and filtered into my body as if searching for a place to anchor itself. At first, I tried to cover my ears, but Lorea gently shook her head. Don't fight it, let it in. So I did. The chant grew deeper, lower, more undulating, and within seconds, the entire hall vanished. I found myself in a space without form or light, but it wasn't darkness, it was beginning. As if I stood at the root of an idea before it took shape. And there, in that formless void, a voice emerged. It had no human tone, no giant tone. It was as if the entire planet spoke directly inside me. You have returned. My heart lurched. Returned. I've never been here. The voice answered without haste, a whisper coming from every direction. You were here before you were born. Before your species learned to walk. Before we ourselves took form. You are part of the first energy that gave rise to the cycle. Everything spiraled around me. What cycle? What does that mean? The voice grew warmer. You are a fragment of the primordial light. Not a person chosen by chance, but an echo returning to complete what was begun. An image appeared, a radiant sphere fracturing into millions of shards, scattering across the universe. Among them, one fragment brighter than the rest, falling toward a blue world, my world. Are you saying that I began? Yes, the voice said. You are part of me, sent away to return, when the ancient shadow awakened. I felt violently dizzy, but I'm human. I have family, history, memories. None of it makes sense. The voice responded with overwhelming compassion. The human and the primordial do not exclude one another. Your form is human, but your origin is not. And now, you must claim what sleeps inside you before the shadow arrives. Light appeared before Mia, floating spark pulsing like a heart. Come closer, the voice said. Take what is yours. I reached out, trembling. But before I could touch the light, I heard something else. A sound that did not belong to the vision, but to the real world. A deep, metallic rumble like a smothered thunder, and the vision shattered. I returned to the Dawn Hall, gasping. The giants stared at me with concern. Lorea, I managed to say something. Something is here. Athelia frowned. Here, in the hall. Before I could answer, one of the crystal columns suddenly darkened. A black stain began spreading across its surface like spilled ink. The giants immediately stepped back. Lorea snatched me up in one swift motion, sheltering me against her chest. It can't be, she said in terror. It's arrived far too soon. The shadow didn't wait. The ancient shadow had already entered the Dawn Hall. Lorella held me tightly against her chest as the shadow advanced between the crystalline columns. Her enormous body trembled, and that tremor passed into mine. In her breathing, I felt something I never imagined I would sense in someone so colossal, a mixture of determination and fear. The other sisters formed a defensive circle, raising their arms as if they could stop that darkness with their own bodies. Darkness that seemed to devour light itself. The black stain climbed the column, spreading like living venom. Every surface it touched stopped shining, as if it were stealing the crystal's memory. A sound emerged from it, a harsh murmur that didn't come from any physical organ, but from something more primitive, more ancient. Athelia stepped back, but her voice remained firm. We must protect him. Do not let it reach him. The shadow reacted, it left the column and slid toward us like a deep, liquid wave. It did not move quickly, but with the certainty of something pursuing what it has always known. Why is it coming for me? I asked, my voice breaking. Lorea pressed my body gently but firmly against hers. Because it seeks what you carry inside. The primordial spark. The part of Varelia you were sent to reclaim. I tried to reason, but fear fogged my mind. I didn't understand how I was supposed to fight something with no shape, no face, no visible limit. And how am I supposed to do that? I don't know how to use anything I just saw. Athelia approached, leaning toward me. The gold of her dress trembled with every movement. "It is not used," she said firmly. "It is remembered." Then the shadow leaped. It was as if a wave of darkness crashed over us. The giants raised their arms, and the titanic barrier they formed stopped its advance for only a moment. The shadow slammed into them, coiling around their bodies, searching for cracks in their defense. "Run!" One of the sisters shouted from behind, though there was nowhere to run. Lurea lifted me higher, as if trying to keep me out of reach of the darkness. Her voice shook as she said, "Listen to the light inside you. Listen now, before it's too late." The hall's columns began to extinguish, one by one. And in that fading glow, I felt something. An echo, the same echo from the valley when we arrived. Something inside my chest vibrated. Something that wasn't mine, yet had always been within me. The shadow struck again. One of the giants fell to her knees, drained by the energy the darkness stripped from her. Two others pushed against it with their bodies to keep it away. Athelia extended both hands toward the shadow, and her golden light intensified like a sun fighting an eclipse. "Do it now, traveler," she shouted. "Claim your light." I closed my eyes, forced myself to block out the noise, the fear, Lurea's trembling, the deep sound of the ancient shadow consuming the hall. I focused on that spark I had seen in the vision, that small luminous sphere I had almost touched, and then it happened. Something inside me ignited. At first, it was a soft vibration, like an insect wing flutter. Then it grew, and grew more, until it became a pulse of heat rushing through my arms, my throat, my legs, like a river of light awakening inside me. The shadow felt it. It froze, contracted, turned toward me. When I opened my eyes, the dawn hall was completely dark, except for me. A white light, soft but growing, was glowing from my chest. It wasn't fire. It wasn't energy in a physical sense. It was memory. It was origin. Athelia whispered, barely audible, "There you are." The shadow lunged again, this time directly at me. Lurea tried to shield me, but I gently touched her arm. "Let me," I murmured. "Trust me." She looked at me with a fear I never thought I would see in someone so immense, but she nodded and lowered her hand. The shadow fell over me like an ocean. All sound disappeared. All color disappeared. Only a vast void remained, where time did not exist. And in that void, I reached toward the luminous sphere I had seen in the vision. This time, I touched it. The light erupted, not violently. It expanded silently, like an exhalation becoming infinite. The shadow recoiled, tried to wrap around me, but the light passed through it as if it weren't there. I watched as it unraveled into fragments of mist that seemed to lose coherence, forgetting, almost, that they had ever been something. And then I understood what I needed to do. Not destroy it. Remind it. The light didn't destroy the shadow. It returned it to what it once was. An energy from before time, lost and disoriented. The shadow stopped moving, became thinner, softer, more calm. When I opened my eyes, the darkness was gone. The shadow simply dissolved into a soft dust that drifted to the top of the hall and vanished in a faint glimmer. The columns lit up again, and the silence that followed was profound. Lurea held me in her hands with infinite gentleness. Her eyes were full of emotion. "You did it." Without destroying, without violence, just as the first ones did, Athelia placed a hand on my back, and though she was gigantic, her touch was as gentle as a current of air. "Now we understand why you were the one we needed." I felt overwhelmed, empty, and full at the same time. "Is it over?" I asked. Athelia smiled. "For now, but the light you carry will not fade. It may be called again, in other worlds, in other times." Lurea lifted me closer to her enormous face. "And if that happens, we will walk by your side." The other sisters gathered around. Their colossal faces glowed with hope. The planet began to vibrate softly beneath us, like a heartbeat of gratitude. Virelia was safe. I, however, knew I had been changed forever. I looked up at the orange sky, and a familiar sensation washed through me, the certainty that this would not be the last time I faced something larger than myself. I closed my eyes and let the planet breathe with me. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave your like. It helps us keep bringing more enchanting stories like this one to brighten your day. And tell us in the comments which city in the world you're listening from. See you next time.